Hello employee, and welcome back to this continuing series of training videos for a video store that somehow still exists in the 21st century, and is definitely not just a nostalgic lattice for talking about media. In the other videos, we covered how to handle customers regarding late fees and videos being out of stock. Today we will tackle one of the more challenging questions regarding renting from our store. Why should I watch movies on DVD and Blu-ray? Everything is on streaming now. You will often hear this from customers who oppose a physical media library in favor of a streaming platform. To counter this argument, it's important to remember how physical media compares to streaming services. When you buy a DVD from a major studio, there are certain things you can and cannot do with that disc. All of it is based on its DRM. DRM stands for Digital Rights Management. It is implemented to control a copyrighted work's use, modification, and distribution. Breaking DRM contracts was made illegal under the United States Digital Millennium Copyright Act and the European Union's Information Society Directive. The components of DRM have expanded to such a degree that it covers everything from video games to farm tractor repairs. Most home video releases have DRM that prevents you from duplicating a DVD or Blu-ray, and then illegally distributing it. That said, commercially sold home videos are legal to resell, trade, rent, or loan out to another party. When you purchase a DVD or Blu-ray, you effectively own that copy to either watch or distribute. It doesn't matter if the distributor decides to stop producing that video. They cannot legally come to your house and rip that copy out of your hands. Remember that information for later. Now when it comes to streaming and video on demand, movies enter into a whole other arena of ownership. Whether you buy or rent a movie digitally through Apple, Vudu, or Amazon, your ownership depends entirely on the server that your movie exists within, and not your account itself. This means that the digitally purchased movie at any time can be removed from that server. Think of it like renting a movie from a video store, except the store can come to your house and rip that copy out of your hands at any time. And since all the digital movies you buy or rent exist on a server, you will never own anything digitally. Okay, digital renting and buying sounds bad, but I don't do that. I use streaming apps. Subscribing to a streaming service may seem more ideal given the lack of ownership. If you're already renting movies from a server, why not just rent the whole server since it's cheaper? And sure, in terms of the cost of a movie and the variety of movies on that server, it's a better deal. A common problem with this path, however, is that there are too many streaming services. Yes, there was a time when you only had one streaming service that dominated online entertainment at a cheaper alternative to cable. It was the cord-cutting secret, but the secret got out and now it's what everybody watches. First, there were the big two that most people know about, Netflix and Prime Video. Both of them started out licensing material from other studios. Nowadays, however, Netflix and Amazon are studios in and of themselves, and the bulk of their libraries is now composed of media made exclusive to their platforms. Then, there are studio-specific streaming channels that have become more dominant. Disney has Disney Plus and Hulu, Warner Brothers has HBO Max, Paramount has Paramount Plus, and Universal has Peacock. Sony pretty much has Netflix. It's not a confirmed partnership at this point, but it's pretty clear there's a big deal going on between Netflix and Sony. Specific TV channels even have their own streaming apps as well. This includes AMC, Showtime, Cinemax, Starz, Epix, Boomerang, Hallmark, Lifetime, BET, History Channel, IFC, BritBox, and PBS. Then, there are streaming channels for movie distributors, which includes Criterion, Arrow, Full Moon, Cohen, Sundance, Shout Factory, Magnolia, and Acorn. There are even device-specific streaming services, such as Apple TV Plus and Roku TV. And as if all that weren't enough, there are also streaming channels for specific genres. Shudder is known for horror, Crunchyroll has anime, HiDive has more anime, Mubi has art house, Docurama has documentaries, Broadway HD has Broadway shows, Deku has gay-themed entertainment, Pureflix has Christian nationalism, and Dove has boring family movies that won't offend Midwest Christians. Even live TV has entered into the streaming arena. Sometimes it comes bundled as with Paramount Plus, sometimes as an add-on as with Hulu, and sometimes a streaming subscription will just bundle a bunch of cable channels together as with Friendly TV. So there are a lot of streaming services, and it can be difficult to divide them explicitly based on what you intend to watch, as opposed to simply owning the movies you want on physical media and being able to access them at any time for no additional cost. What about free streaming apps? Aren't those feels better since you're not really paying anything. True, there are free streaming apps like Tubi, Pluto TV, and Freevee. And of course, by free, I mean free with advertisements. Even if you stick with free streaming apps, they are still bound by the same digital restrictions and loopholes as paid streaming services. If, for example, a particular streaming service decided to remove an entire block of movies and TV shows from their app, that would be well within their contract. You might have signed up for HBO Max to watch Westworld, but the subscription agreement does not guarantee that Westworld will always be there, which, as of this video, it is currently not. Is this awful? Of course it is, but what are you gonna do about it? Well, I mean, you could buy that movie or TV show on DVD or Blu-ray to watch whenever you want. Of course, that all depends on whether the studio decides to distribute a physical media release. Now, while some studios will make this concession to have more money, most streaming exclusive media is kept exclusively on the streaming service. This is because, well, they only want you to be using that app. And while there are instances of third-party distributors helping out with home video releases, we can't expect the Criterion Collection, Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, Kino Lorber, and Shout Factory to save everything. Some streaming exclusive media will eventually find its way off the server and become trapped in the void of lost media. Okay, but won't physical media wear out over time? Yes, this is true. Physical media, like most matter, won't last forever. But the degradation of DVDs and Blu-rays can range anywhere from 20 years to 100 years, depending on the type of disc. It also depends on how often that disc is played and how they are properly stored. And unless you're like a Highlander or an Immortal, you probably won't have to worry about your physical media dying before you do. But can't physical media be damaged? Sure, discs can become stained with fingerprints if improperly touched, or scratched if improperly stored, thus hindering its playback. The good news with fingerprints is that these can be removed easily with a special kit sold for $20 in our store. And by special kit, we mean a mostly water-based solution to spray on the disc and a thin piece of fabric to wipe off that solution. And some scratches can actually be buffed out from the disc as well. Some damage, of course, cannot be repaired, and the disc might be unsalvageable. The lifespan of your physical media ultimately depends on how well you treat it. If you take care of your DVDs and Blu-rays by storing them properly in temperature-controlled interiors, they can last for decades. And while streaming might seem more convenient for not having to worry about a scratched disc of your favorite movie, streaming movies have their own technical problems. They may not play properly if your internet connection is poor, and, as stated previously, they can be altered or removed at any time. Okay, physical media might look good on shelves, but I don't have a lot of space, and I don't want to become cluttered with DVDs and Blu-rays. If you don't want to buy and merely rent the same way you would from a video store, you can still do so through kiosks like Redbox, or online disc rental subscriptions like DVD.com. You could also just rent from your local video store if you still have one that exists. We're pretty sure that the one you're training for in this video still exists. Like 50% sure, don't look into it. If you don't want to hoard physical media, you can simply sell what you don't want to watch anymore or gift it to a friend. It's not like DVDs and Blu-rays are hard to remove from your home. They store pretty well and people still buy them. But physical media is more expensive. While some physical media can be incredibly spendy, the prices can lower over time. For example, if I wanted to buy a film that was just this week released on home video, I would probably be paying somewhere from $20 to $40 for that copy, depending on the DVD or Blu-ray. But if I wait long enough for a sale or find a used copy at a media store, I would instead pay anywhere from $10 to $20. Sure, it might seem cheaper to rent digitally rather than buying, but if it's an older film, finding a used physical copy can actually be cheaper to buy than rent. For example, Get Shorty costs about $4 to rent from digital platforms, but I can find it on DVD at half-price books for $3. Not only would buying the DVD be cheaper, but I can watch it for as long as I want and even sell it back to get a small portion of my money back, thus making the overall cost even cheaper. Distributors like Criterion and Arrow make costly Blu-rays, but they're also high-quality transfers with plenty of extras and lovely covers. You pay for quality, but these distributors also have sales for lower prices. Criterion, for example, has 50% off sales through 24-hour fire sales on their website, and a month-long 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble. Arrow also has a sale at Barnes & Noble at the same time as Criterion. Isn't buying and renting physical media going to make me more of a consumer, further contributing to the unjust capitalist systems that prop up soulless corporations? Yes, you are, but this is not your fault. You live in a capitalist society, and under such structures, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Despite your best efforts, you have used and will use a product or service from a company that has done something heinous. You can pick and choose how to navigate around bad businesses, but committing to a total divorce from any unsavory company is a near impossible feat. And if your main hang-up is that you don't want to give the studios money by buying their physical media, you can always just buy it used, because that money will only go to the seller and not the distributor or studio. Congratulations, employee! You are now prepared to talk about physical media with our customers. In the next video, we'll review handling customers traumatized after renting
There's a world of adventure just waiting for you.